Hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network episode 14. This is our weekly live stream where we talk about music technology, production, all kind of things. My name is Sunwarper, and with me today, as always, is my Audionautic co-pilot, Curtis. How are you, bud?
Definitely not ready for this.
Oh no, I feel you. I was out this whole weekend, and then I came back and was like, oh crap, wait, we have to do ADSN. I need to get some topics and all that. And then you're like, oh, I'm not ready either. Well, the show must go on.
We're a man down. We're not prepared.
Like I said, we may be more prepared than you think. We have topics. We have some interesting news. There's some stuff going on. There's an interesting article about the ambient boom on Spotify and these ambient playlists, and kind of whether it's homogenizing ambient music or if it's good for ambient artists. And I tend to think it's kind of a little column A, little column B. And then we are talking about mastering. You found a cool article about some 10 questions with mastering, and we'll go over that. And I think there's one other thing that I'm totally blanking on, but that's where you can fill it in.
Hey, well, let me check the file. Let me check the Google file.
It's in the thumbnail title or the header.
Oh yeah, summer sales, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, quick little plug-in boutique summer sale. I think they're doing something new every week or something, or every day. But we'll get into that. But first, how are you doing? Besides woefully underprepared.
No, I'm all good. I'm all good. It's an interesting week. There's been lots of going on. Obviously, not obviously, but I mean, it's obvious to me. I've got Psychonautic. Well, I mean, this is it. I have got 2 releases, like, just gone out for DistroKid, just gone out for the thing.
Yeah.
And I've got a guy doing some animation for me for actually what was Fragments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it to him. He was like, "When do you need it back?" And me being me, I went, "I need it by the 9th of June." Because I was like, in my head, like, I've got a release coming out on the 10th of June, right? And he was like, "I can't turn that around in 2 weeks. What you insane?" I'm like, "Well, I need it." And he's like, "Wait, no, it's not going to happen." I'm like, "Okay, fine." And then I realized that Fragments is not coming out till October time. September-ish, October time.
Yeah.
It's Psychonautic, which is coming out next week, with Spectre. And I'm just like eating my face,
Oh man, yeah. So 2 releases coming up. What else have you been up to besides music?
Well, it's been obviously managed to catch a little bit of the sun over the weekend, which is always nice.
Yeah, that is always good.
You got to get that nature while you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't have the same thing as you, and where you've just got like sun all the time. Like we have.
Bit of a misnomer. There are clouds.
Oh well.
Sometimes the sky is gray. I mean, you know.
But yeah, so here, I mean, we've had some nice amounts of it, but you never know. It could go away at any point.
Yeah, got to enjoy it while it lasts, right?
Exactly. And you've got to bring that sun. You've got to bring in that sun. So yeah, that kind of thing, as well as editing everything and getting everything done. Like I say, Psychonautic out on Friday. So
yeah,
next Friday. So, what about you?
This Friday or the next Friday?
10th, next Friday.
Okay.
10th,
I don't even know what day it is today, so it's the 1st.
Yeah.
It's June. Wow. How did we get to June already, man? What's going on? This month, this year is just flying by.
Well, there's that, you ever see that space-time dilation theory? No?
Like when you get older, time gets quicker? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you subscribe to that idea or anything like that. But
it definitely seems like it, but I don't know if it's just because we've experienced this time so many times that it makes it seem quicker. That's kind of my take on it. You know, like when you were a kid, everything was new, so it felt longer because it was novel. Whereas now, we're also just as adults, we're more into the same thing day to day, so it just feels the same. So time just kind of flows quick. But we could talk about time dilation another day, I suppose.
I mean, this is it, isn't it? Obviously, usually we have Howard here, and he's like the bastion of stability. He keeps us on.
We're both, I'm a philosophy major. You're a space traveler, so we just go off on tangents.
Well, this is it. It's basically like our Monday meeting, and we've got no one to stop us. So hopefully the people are enjoying what you do. Yeah. Incidentally, people doing what they are doing, watching us. Thank you. Hi, nice to see you today. This show is brought to us by our patrons who support us very generously on Patreon. If you like what you see here, this fumbles of a show, you can you can consider making a pledge on Patreon. The link is in the description below. Yeah, you get bonuses. I don't want to say insider information. It sounds a bit businessy, but like the
and illegal. No, you get early access to Binary Stars now. Also, early access to the stuff on our record label. We just started doing that. And then we have a Twitter group. There's also exclusive channels on our Discord. But anyone is welcome to our Discord, which is also in the description. But if you want to check out our Patreon, it's patreon.com/audionautic.
Completely, yeah. Right now, the latest post that you see up on our Patreon, you can see a sneaky peek of my lead single from Psychonautic Volume 2 with Spectre. I put the music video up there yesterday. If that's your jam, then go have a look. And yeah, thanks again for supporting us. We really appreciate it. Yeah. But what have you been doing, dude?
Man, I've been busy in some weird ways. I was gone on the weekend, like I said. I was in San Diego. I got to be at the beach, which was nice because I'm inland now. So it's nice to go back to the beach. That's like my jam. That's where I grew up by the beach and all that. So it was great to be back. But I've had, I think we've mentioned it before, but I've had wrist issues for my right wrist. And at physical therapy, they were like, you cannot play guitar or piano. Like, you can't play any instruments. You got to take a break. And so I was going nuts for a week, not able to play any instruments because all of that was triggering the pain. So yesterday was the first day I could play. So what did I do? I took my baritone guitar, put on some Valhalla, and just made some drones. It was awesome. It was awesome.
That is 7 minutes past the hour before Valhalla has been mentioned for the first time.
Take a drink. Yeah. No, I didn't want to like shred because I didn't think my wrist could handle it after a week of not doing anything. So I was like, oh, I'll just put on these massive drones and just hit notes. Let's see what happens. It was cool. And then my sleep mix that I made last week got flagged for some CD baby, like we're not allowing you to show it, and it got blocked after a week. Like it was up for a whole week, and then CD baby goes, oh, there's 1 or 2 songs that like we're gonna block, and so I had to take that down, remove those songs, and put up new ones because for some reason it wouldn't let me in the editor edit it out, even though there's an option for it. It's like this doesn't work or something, so I had to just re-upload it. So if anybody watching had liked that video and couldn't find it or something, it's back up just with a few songs off. But yeah, so that was interesting. I know we came to issue with that with the original Audionautic radio a little bit, right?
Yeah, so I mean we had it once, and we always get flagged for copyright when we do the radio.
And it's the yellow one where it's like cannot be monetized. Like ads will be given to the artist, and that's totally fine. I can't monetize anyways. I only have like 300 subscribers, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, then this one was just like blocked. It's such an odd system too, like both on YouTube's end where you can't really fight it well, but also just the fact that CD Baby just blocks it from being used. It's like, don't you want to get your artist's money because you also get a percentage of that money? Like by just allowing the monetization.
It would, completely. It makes absolute sense. I wonder if it's better than potentially getting sued. I wonder if that's what it is. It's being overcautious.
I don't know. Yeah, it's been an issue before, and I remember Spectre when he was doing his radio show, he always ran into those issues too. It's such a strange thing to me. And if anybody listening has the reason, I just like these other songs. Like I had some big songs on there from like Aphex Twin, Stars of the Lid, and stuff like that. And it's just like cannot be monetized. Ads will go to the artist. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But then CD Baby's just like, you are completely blocked in all regions of the world. Cannot be shown, and now the video is being blocked. It was like that. The artist should get money for these things, That's the way it should work.
I mean, that's always what we did when we created the original Audionautic radio. That's kind of what we were aiming to do. I mean, we never wanted to necessarily make money for ourselves. It was always about showcasing the art and giving people a platform, right?
Yeah, spread good tunes.
Spread good tunes, exactly. Spread good tunes, spread good vibes, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the more people that see it, people might go and buy it, might go and stream it. Great, and it does seem a bit overkill. It does seem a bit overkill on that front. I mean, until we get to this stage where, we're not at the herald of AI which I mean, let's face it, it's not going to happen anytime soon. I think that's just kind of what we have to live with.
Yeah.
I think you don't see it through distro, you don't see it through TuneCore, you only see it through CD Baby.
Yeah, it's strange.
I mean, CD Baby are ridiculously expensive anyway, so I mean,
quite true.
Just go and do DistroKid. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
You use DistroKid, don't you?
I do, yeah. And then we use Sounddrop for the label. Sounddrop is owned by CD Baby, but they don't have that issue.
Well, yeah, and I mean, Sounddrop's pretty good for what it is.
Yeah, I like Sounddrop. Yeah. I wish they still did the free and they just take a higher percentage. That was the best, but they probably realized they could make more by charging $1 per track. But it's still relatively cheap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we'd like to know what you guys listening, watching, etc. Know about this. We keep abreast of the situation because it's obviously our job. But I mean, we're just two dudes. What do we know? So we'd like to know what you guys are using. Briefly used TuneCore once upon a time, but only once. And it's all about distro for me.
Yeah, TuneCore was interesting. We did a Lightspeed. I think it was the last Lightspeed. May it rest in peace. But it was all about distributing your music, and we looked at I think 4 of them. DistroKid is usually the one we like because you can upload as much as you want, and it's if you do the cheapest one, I think it's $20 a year, and then Sounddrop, like I said, is really cool because it used to be completely free and they took a higher royalty percentage, but now it's $1 per song, still a pretty good deal. They also do cover songs for just $1, whereas DistroKid is $12 a year to maintain a cover. Pretty big difference. The issue we have with Sounddrop is that it doesn't go to every streaming platform, and Curtis's big issue is it doesn't go up on Instagram stories, like how you can choose music on stories, it doesn't go up on there, and Facebook, whatever else have you. And then I think there's a muse.io or something, and that I believe is still free, but
really?
I don't think there's some caveats. I don't think you can set a release date. I think whenever it gets put out, it goes out. I forget, and if anybody listening uses a Muse, they can correct me if it's different. I think there's Root Note or something too, and then TuneCore. TuneCore's odd though. You could probably go into it more, but don't you have to pay X amount 1 year, and then to have that release up, you have to pay another amount?
That's what TuneCore's all about, exactly. Yeah, and that's what I used TuneCore once for my collab with Scarlett Sounds actually. And the JT, and then I have to renew it at the end of the year. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do that. Yeah. But I'll put it out through somewhere else. We'll see. Quick,
our friend and colleague who is usually on the show says, "Hey, where's the Grumpy Potato one? I like him. He's either having tech issues, Eon Lake, or he's taking his millionth vacation of the year. One of the two.
One of the two. Maybe both. Let's face it.
Could be both at the same time. Yeah, Wi-Fi is usually bad at those hotels.
To be fair, it can be both. Because I mean, if he's in a hotel room and there's no Wi-Fi, then we've got both issues covered. Which, if you think about it, is the perfect storm for Eon Lake.
He and tech issues go hand in hand.
So I have to say,
except
Eon
last week, it was perfection.
It was perfection last week, and that's exactly what we want to see. So, Eon Lake, we love you. We miss you. Hope you're having fun on your hollybubs, as they say.
Thanks for hopping in the chat.
Yeah, completely. Go find a field, sit under a tree, and do your thing, bro.
Play with that MPC or the OP1.
Yeah, be interested to see what you've been up to when you come back. Maybe do a segment on it next week. We talk about Eon Lake and what you did on his portable adventures.
Eon Lake, what did you bring with you? Did you bring any music? I'm curious. Any music production devices, I should say. Yeah,
we'd like to know. I imagine there is the OP one in there. I imagine
you would think.
The OP set.
Unless he brought the SP.
Unless he brought the SP, or knowing him, he's probably already bought the new OP1 field. So
he probably brought the tracker, the OP1, the MPC, and God knows what else.
and just one T-shirt.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Eon Lake, we hope you're having fun, buddy. Thanks for hopping in, and we miss your face. Yeah. Shall we sidle on into the news?
I should. Before that, I should also mention that we are now up on Spotify as a video podcast, and also on all other podcast forms as an audio podcast. We have both this weekly live stream and our new show, Binary Stars, which is a lot of fun. It's the two of us talking about 4 songs each week, 2 that we find, 1 each on our playlist, which just passed 200 subscribers or followers, which is awesome on Spotify, and then 2 that we've been influenced or inspired by during the week. We've had a lot of we've had a great reception to it. We love everyone, what they're saying about it. We appreciate you listening. But yeah, check it out over on Spotify. Maybe give it a rating if you want to be kind.
Yeah. These little things help little people like us who are trying to do things and do nice things for people. Your reviews and your comments, they go a long way. They tell the YouTube algorithm that we're not just sitting there chatting shit. And I mean, there is a little...
Or we are, but people like it.
But people like it, exactly, yeah. So we appreciate it. And so, yeah, go check it out. We actually need to record a new Binary Stars. It's just dropped, but obviously we're a little bit more proactive and a little bit more organized than we were this time last year, should we say?
Yeah.
And we plan quite ahead of time. So I'll have to see. But we'll get on that. I'll bring you the Google Calendar, Sunwarper, and we can talk about it.
Oh, God.
But yes. Anyway, let's slide along into the news. What do you want to start with? Anything in particular?
Let's start with Eon Lake's contribution.
Eon Lake's contribution.
Yeah.
Where are we? Okay, where are we?
We always have to cover something gold as per Eon Lake's
of course, yes.
Yeah, and caveat for being on the show.
Of course. So just if you were in the world of making trap and you had got yourself a gold NPC a couple of weeks ago and you needed some vocals to go over the top of your beats, Eon Lake, in his absence, has found this wonderful thing on Amazon. This truly.
I waited to actually see what it was. He put here's our weekly gold, and I was like, I'll wait to see what he actually put.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you were wondering about why we're still kind of amateur at this, it's because neither of us have a gold microphone.
Yeah, I just have this blue Yeti. I don't think I can even show it, but a blue Yeti.
And I'm using I don't know what this is, but it's Polish.
It's a Bleddy.
It's a something. But yes, if you are looking to move into full-time production and you want to fully solidify your SoundCloud account, then grab yourself a Sontronics Podcast Pro.
Yeah.
That is what we can do for you on that one.
More you get gold that, coming up. The MPC gold, maybe get some gold plating for your SP. I mean, you're going to make it.
Get that pimp coat and you are sorted. That's all you need. Doesn't matter about the quality of music. Don't worry. Just gold. That's all you need to worry about. That's all you need to worry about. But yes, thank you very much. So that leads us on nicely. If we're talking about new gear, we might as well discuss our favorite time of year, and that is the summer sales coming in. It's that time of year. And Plugin Alliance have got, well, you found this. Take it away, Sunwarper.
Yeah, so this is cool. It's, I believe, every day for however long they're doing new sales, which is both cool and also a very good sales tactic because you're like, it's only here today. I got to grab it. But yeah, I think there's only 3 that are actually on sale up at the top. And then I don't know if the rest that you're scrolling down is just extra stuff. But yes, those 3, I believe.
Yeah, so today you got the BX Console AMX 9099. You got the BX Digital V3, and you got the intro bundle of... Ooh, what's actually in the intro bundle?
I think that was free for a while. Plugin Alliance had that deal, remember, where you could get like a bunch of plugins?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When I think it was a month or 2. Yeah. Native Instruments, I think, and some other stuff. And I think that was one of the ones that was free, and now it's not.
Okay, I mean, this is... I've despite the fact that we... advertised that, so to speak. I completely forgot and I missed out on that.
Well, there's still, let's see, if you look at the top, it says try for free. Oh, you can try it for 14 days.
Yeah, free of charge, 14 days. So yeah, it looks like these will come out. So this sale day 1 will, is going on for another 12 hours, 40 minutes and 6 seconds.
Yeah, and then I think it refreshes to a couple new things that are for sale.
So we'll see. So, I mean, I don't know how long this is going on for, but somewhat the question becomes, what are you looking for anything in particular to add to your studio?
I don't know. I wouldn't mind some kind of like cool reverb or something. I really need to get some Valhalla reverbs.
Oh, you want to get a proper Valhalla?
Yeah, I was thinking, like the, I forget what it's called. Is it Valhalla Vintage or something?
Yeah, it's the one that you pay for, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about this before. I don't typically use a lot of plugins, so I'm not usually looking for plugins. But I know Eon Lake had talked about one of those really cool reverb plugins a couple weeks ago, and there might be some synths that could be cool. Something maybe from like Cherry Audio or something. But I don't know what they'll put on sale here. But yeah, I mean, it's just cool to keep in the know, and a lot of these places usually have like something for free too. So I always try to keep appraised on what's going on. So. Yeah.
So if over the next couple of days something was to come up, what would be irresistible to you?
I mean, I'll never say no to really good tape saturators, or like tape emulators. Yeah, I think really reverb is what I'm looking for right now, because all I have for reverb is Little Plate from Sound Toys, the stock ones from Logic, which are great, and then Supermassive. But I don't consider Supermassive like a reverb. I consider it a massive reverb. So, for something where I just want to add reverb to a guitar or something like that, I'm not going to put Supermassive on it.
Do you have any reverbs in hardware?
Yeah, I have the Big Sky.
Oh, you got the Big Sky?
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about hardware is that once I record it in, that's it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the point of hardware, right?
Yeah, but sometimes I want to be able to change. Like, I usually, when I record with the Big Sky, I do it with a ton of reverb, like, the mix, a lot of wet. And then when I'm listening back to it, I'm like, it needs to be less.
Yeah,
but I'm too lazy to re-record it, or it's a really good take. I'm like, if only there was a little less reverb.
I've been doing that more recently with mine. I've also got the Big Sky, and I've recently redialed my kind of like not stock, but kind of like my standard.
Those 3 settings, right? The 3.
Yeah. I've rolled off the reverb by around about 40 to 50%.
You put it at 40 or 50, or you rolled it back from there?
I rolled it. I took about a third of half of it off.
Okay. Yeah.
Just for the purposes of being able to go back into it later, like I can always add more reverb. But like you say, you can never take it away.
Yeah, exactly. I also am just lazy to set up my pedal board, put all the cables running around, and do all that. I'm like, I just have some settings on my Logic, presets that I can just tinker with really quick for guitar that I've made. And I'm like, that's just so much easier. Because usually I'm not in the moment where I'm recording final takes. I'm just doing scratch takes. But oftentimes that just turns into the final take because I'm like, I really like the way this sounds.
So you mean to say that your pedal board's not always set up?
My pedal board is not set up. Not always set up. It's not. It sits back there. It's plugged in like to power, but I don't really plug it in through because I just have my what's it called? Focusrite is right next to me, and so I'll either run it into the SP or I just run the guitar direct into it, or I'll run the guitar through the SP into the thing.
Right. Okay.
I just hate all that cable management.
Well, I mean, it's the plight of what we do, really.
Yeah, so I bypass that for as long or as, if I can, just completely. That's what I do. Hydra Fighter's in the chat. How you doing, man?
All right, Hydra Fighter, nice to see you. If you're joining us later, it'll be nice. We'll have a chat. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. Like, you can see the camera here, obviously doing its thing, and like this looks relatively neat and tidy, but then it's just a clusterfuck over there, essentially.
Yeah, and it's not that it's messy. Like, I cleaned up, and I like where I've got my studio set up now. I just, like, the pedal board's way back there. I'd have to move it out, connect all the cable, connect the cable to the audio interface, connect it to the guitar, set all the tones and things like that. And I'm like, When I need, like, a really good distortion, I'll use it, because I have a really cool, is it Tube Screamer clone? Or 808? Whatever it is, a clone of that. I have this really cool lo-fi junkie pedal that does like warp tones. That's the one you got
Betsy, right?
What's that? No. That thing, I don't keep that on my pedal board. Actually, I don't know where it is right now. But it's this little Mr. E. It's a fuzz delay. And it can just generate crazy noise and stuff. That I use all the time. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of got over using the pedal board. And then I have a lot of cables set up for all the synths and stuff. So I don't have enough to like, I don't know. It's just a lot of work. So I'm like, it's fine. If I need it, I'll use it. But typically, I can get enough from just the stuff in the DAW for guitar.
That's fair enough. So yeah, I'd like to see some analog stuff coming through. Like I've gone the other way for you. So like I mainly use hardware, and then the the tinkering in Ableton is usually where I do my thing. And at the moment, I'm using a lot of parametric and modern stuff, but I wouldn't mind doing a bit of ear training. I feel like as my tinnitus.
Oh, like without graphs and all that.
Yeah, just purely by sound.
Yeah. I should also mention though, I then take those recordings into the SP.
Of course you do.
So I'm kind of doing the opposite of you, where I record it into the DAW and then put it into hardware, whereas you're putting the hardware into the DAW.
Yeah. I mean,
you gotta add that vinyl, bro. You gotta add that vinyl.
Gotta add that vinyl. You know, I think it's a product of our two setups. Like you got an Apple Mac, haven't you? Have you got the M1 chip in yours?
No, this one I got in 2020, just before all that stuff happened.
Right. Okay.
So I don't think they had the M1s out yet, or they were just in laptops or something.
Okay.
But I had to upgrade, man. My old one was from like 2012, and just.
Well, yeah, this is it. Like this laptop here, this is from 2014.
Yeah.
This laptop, and I've cannibalized it so much that it's screaming now. But I mean,
it's like, please just kill me.
Just no more.
Let me die. Yeah.
But we'll get there.
Are there any plugins you're looking at? We went on a long tangent there. I mean, that if you saw on this sale that you'd buy.
I'm interested in this. I mean, I'm interested in this Brainworks console. Let me share it.
Can you share it? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested in it because, like I say, it's got some of these analog stuff in here.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't mind getting my hands on. I want specifically things like.
Is that in that intro thing too? Because you may just want to grab that intro deal. Yeah, that's the intro.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm thinking about having a look at.
I got it because it was free back then. I would grab that intro. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
We'll see. Again, just pure analog. Like I use the Tokyo Sound, the Kolchelkinov compressor a lot, which is obviously just an analog compressor. But I want to do more of that EQing through ear and do more of that kind of stuff through ear as opposed to parametric. Is there any reason
that you want to get away from the graphs and all that stuff?
Just to train, to get better. I'm pretty solid with my mixing. I'm pretty solid with parametrics and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm always looking for a new challenge. Everything's a challenge.
Yeah.
So, do stuff by ear, do stuff the old school way, just get a bit better at my craft, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the way forward, So we'll see. The big news for the day is the, what do we call it? The ambient boom, question mark.
The ambient boom?
The ambient boom.
Yeah.
The ambient boom. This is something you've found on our
hunt, and just to go on another tangent, I felt so proud of myself because I saw this last Wednesday right after we finished our episode, and I was like, ooh, look at me being all prepared. And then I didn't read it until yesterday, and then I had nothing else for the episode. So Eon Lake says, "Bastion of stability. Are you mental? You must have issues." Well, we don't have tech issues like you, but maybe we have other issues.
I mean, we all have issues, brother. But I mean,
no, we miss you, man. We're happy to have you in the chat, though. We have a little bit of Eon Lake still with us.
It is.
Just to rein us in a little bit.
Exactly. So, what's Sunwarper? What's going on here? Inside the ambient music streaming boom. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so this was an interesting article. I think it's from Pitchfork, right? I can't see the yeah. It was just talking about how there's this huge crop up of ambient playlists on Spotify, Apple Music, and all this stuff that are just getting tons of streams because people are putting it on when they need to sleep, when they need to work, study, this and that, and it takes an interesting look at the pros and cons of it. The pros being some of these artists that get on it are making a good deal of money from it while they're on it, but then that also becomes a pro because they don't know how they get on it, they don't know when they're going to get off of it, and they're saying it's hard to replicate to try to get on it. Like there's no way to replicate it because you don't know why you got on it. And then it's also, they talk about the argument, I believe another article last year, which made some waves in the ambient community, talked about ambient music of today is becoming homogenized and all the same because of these playlists. People want to get on the playlist, and the playlists just usually have these meandering drones or whatever you want to call it. Not much melody, not much. Some might have melody, but there's a type of sound that a lot of these playlists play, and the argument was that it's killing the adventurous side. and the article kind of goes against that, argues against it a little bit. They also talk with some big ambient labels, and it was interesting to see their take on it, because they were like, hey, we're not going to lie, this has become our bread and butter, but we don't know how to get on them, and some of these smaller artists don't get on them. And they even talked about, I think it was Temporary Residence, they at least used to have Explosions in the Sky. They have Alluvium on there. They talked about some artist on the label that released music in like the 90s, was very underground, maybe had about 1,000, 50,000 streams on Spotify. One song got on a playlist, and it numbers like 7 times the amount of streams compared to any other song of theirs. So people aren't converting from these playlists to the artist. So that's another issue.
Mm. Well, I mean, this seems very similar to the conversation that we had surrounding lo-fi, right? Well, back in the day with Spectre, I think Audionautic Podcast 2.
Yeah, back in the day of 2020.
Back in the day of 2020. The idea that this sounds to me like this is a product of playlisting once again, as opposed to the genre itself. It's a product of the platforms on which we put our product, put our art and stuff like that. Like, evidently, if you see something getting plays on a certain playlist, you're gonna, there are people who would do that. They would go and make something that is very kind of middle of the ground, and to get playlisting in the hope that creates conversion. Now, with a saturation, okay, again, take lo-fi. Massive amounts of saturation when it comes to lo-fi, with so many people making lo-fi, because you can do it so easily. Everyone's making stuff that will go on playlists, and it's all background music in the same way, just a different vibe.
And it doesn't grow, right? They're always trying to sound the same because that's the curators want that consistency.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, but they also talked about for these artists who get on it, is it selling out or is it great? Because now these ambient artists can make somewhat of a living from this music that they love to make that's kind of obscure and, has never really been this huge mainstream thing. So they kind of argue both ways, and they ask a few artists who were on the playlists, and they were like, we don't know how we got on it, so we don't try to replicate it. If another track gets on it, great. They also talked about an interesting bit about fake artists. Possibly fake artists. And I've heard this before, especially with lo-fi music. These artists that have one song on Spotify, and that song is on a playlist, doesn't leave the playlist, and just has millions and millions of streams. And I don't want to say conjecture, but the idea or theory behind what these are is that there's these companies that Spotify possibly hires at a lower royalty rate, so that Spotify can keep more of the money, and it doesn't have to go to us, but also these labels and things like that. It's an interesting idea. I know Pitchfork had asked Spotify about that, I think in 2017, and they said, we had never used fake artists, we never will. So there's no proof that it exists, but it's interesting that there's a lot of these, and I've seen it with lo-fi stuff as well, where it's an artist with 1 or 2 songs. Both of those songs are on these playlists and rack up millions of streams.
Yeah, it happens. And I mean, in a world where not the majority, but a lot of money to be made is from streaming, making these very middle of the road kind of sounds and then to pitch them and then make a bit of money and a bit of exposure from them. Sadly, that is the name of our game.
Yeah, but what's weird is they don't even have links to their social media. It's literally almost a ghost profile. There'll be a picture, maybe a song, and that's it. No bio, nothing. I mean, it is weird.
That is weird. I would also say at the same time, okay, so for example, Ott. Do you know Ott? Mm-hmm. He released a new album over the weekend. Mm-hmm. Very good. I suggest to go. It's really fun. OTT, Ott.
OTT,
French
okay.
Guy. Quite trippy, obviously.
Right. Yeah, I figured if you're recommending it, it's got to be.
Yeah, it's trippy. And he's got 100,000 on Spotify. He's quite, and in the psychedelic community, he's quite well known.
Yeah.
Again, on his Spotify, he's got nothing.
But he's a known person, right?
Does
he play shows or something? He probably got bigger before then. That's the thing. These are there's no there's nothing outside of this Spotify page.
Right. Okay.
And really quick, Eon Lake says, this is back to before when we were talking about distributors. I use DistroKid when doing the digital store thing. Had no issues so far. I don't know. I can't get on the chat on my phone. So I don't know if it's this Streamlabs chat is really slow to refresh.
No, it just popped up. Maybe Eon Lake's gone back through.
Yeah, possibly. Well, so whenever you get to this part, whoever's listening live currently or who's listening in the future when we're off live, what do you feel about the Spotify article? Josh, could you, Curtis, I should say, could you put it in the chat, the link?
I can.
It's worth a read. It's really interesting. We're all at least adjacent to the ambient community, a lot of us in this community, so I'd love to get all of your takes on it. I thought it was really interesting. It did a good job of being pretty unbiased about both the pros, the cons, the good, the bad. It was really interesting. It takes some turns in it. You know, I was like, oh, I didn't expect it to go to this part. And then it talked about these fake artists and this and that. Real quick, Bit Cloudy said, hi, my Spotify looks like I'm a fake artist. One of my tracks has nearly 500,000 streams, the rest under 1,000. It's from being on editorial playlists. It's been on one for nearly 3 years now. Yeah, that's not a fake. That doesn't sound like a fake account. That sounds like what that article was saying for some of these ambient artists who get on a playlist, have tons of streams for the one song, and the rest are, you know, a lot lower than that. Because they're saying that, unfortunately, these editorial playlists, the listeners don't convert. When I say these fake accounts, it's literally one song on the page, and that's the song that's on streamers. Now, you know, the person could get lucky, maybe stop making music. Who knows? I mean, I'm not saying they're fake accounts. This is just what that article was saying might be the case. It is certainly a little sketchy. Like if it's a single track gets on the playlist, we've all put music out. Like it's almost impossible to get on a playlist. Big Cloudy, I'd be curious to know, do you know how you got on that playlist? Did you pitch to it, or was it just you randomly got added to it? That's really cool. I'd just be curious to know, you know, just for my own knowledge.
I see. Yeah, it's always nice. We'd like to know what you guys think. I mean, ultimately, if there's an ambient boom coming, or we're in the middle of an ambient boom, maybe that's just because we've all woken up to the inner screaming inside of all our souls, and it's time to soothe ourselves. And I mean, I'm all up for that.
Yeah, well, that's what they were saying. The pandemic and all that stuff brought a lot of listens to these things. And I mean, it was great for the artists that are on it. You know, they talk about Basinski getting tons of listens and things like that. Big Cloudy also says, I think some people delete their less successful tracks. Yeah, that could be. I would think, though, that might kind of go against the algorithm.
Yeah.
You know, because but who knows? That could very well be. And Eon Lake, back in the past, says that I brought the OPZ and OP1 with me, of course. Yeah, I was hoping you'd bring the MPC or, you know, the SP404 because it's near and dear to me. But that's cool. It's all right.
That works nicely. Have to see how it goes.
Oh, I've never even heard of this distro. Big Cloudy says, I use emu bands as a distro. I pitch when I upload tracks, but don't know why it worked for that one. Well, hey, it worked. That's all that matters. That's awesome. Do you know when you pitched it compared to when it released, Big Cloudy? Because I know they say, oh, it's best to pitch it 2 months before or a month before. But some people who have gotten on playlist told me I pitched it the week before, like the limit you have. And they're like, and that's the one that got on it compared to all the other ones I put out. You know, months before and this and that. So, yeah.
I'll have to see. It'd be nice to see. I've not heard of emu bands, and obviously I've just done a Google search and gonna have a look at that. Over the next coming. And low cost distribution, keep 100% of the royalties.
That's cool.
We'll have to see. Yeah,
Very
thank
cool.
you for that one, but thanks for that, Big.
Yeah, we're always trying to learn, so
we're just a couple of dudes who know nothing.
Together we grow, is what we always say.
Exactly.
Well, we know that we know nothing.
Exactly,
right?
we know.
As Socrates would say, so yeah.
Exactly. Says the philosopher.
Big Cloudy says maybe 1 month before. Okay, cool. Yeah, just curious. That's awesome though. You got on that playlist. Congrats. And you've been on it for 3 years, I think you said. That's incredible.
It's cool. Well, we are at 39 minutes past the hour. Look at us wondering that we wouldn't have enough content. For
I told you we were a little more prepared than we thought.
Totally right.
It's a good thing I read that article yesterday.
Completely, yeah. Hydro Fighter's in the lobby. Should we let him in?
Yeah, bring him in.
For those watching, Hydro Fighter is one of our patrons, and we offer and invite the patrons to come on the show around about the halfway mark and just to shoot the shit with us, talk about some things, come on for the round robin and talk about what they're up to and stuff like that. So
yeah, just real quick, before we bring Hydro in, Big Cloudy said about emu bands, they're in Scotland, very cheap but not intended for electronic music, doesn't go to Beatport. I think DistroKid you have to pay extra to get on Beatport.
I don't know.
I thought that was one of those little check boxes. I could be wrong, but that's interesting. But hey, man, it worked, so that's all that matters.
Yeah. So let's get Hydro Fighter in and we'll move the round robin.
Yeah, let's do it.
For a little bit. Let's bring him in, shall we? And here he is. There he is. Yo.
Hey, Hydro Fighter, what's up, man?
Yo, hey guys. There's always this little bit of latency of muting the YouTube channel and getting onto this chat.
Streamlabs, it records it and then puts a latency thing so that I don't know why, but there's a reason.
So if I always look dumb, like I'm just out of it, dumbfounded, whatever, when I join this call, that's the reason.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, I always look dumb.
Yeah.
I've just come to accept it.
We always have a confused look, so, you know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. How are you, Hydro Fighter? What's going on in your world?
Not much, guys. Not much really at all. I've just been redundantly listening to the same crappy music I've been working on for how long now, and you know what it's like. It's you get burnt out.
Yeah. Yes, and we really do. How have you been dealing with burnout?
Listening to other stuff, I guess.
That works.
You know, I was away for the weekend. It was it's Memorial Weekend in the States.
Yeah.
So my parents have a cabin 100 miles west, which, ironically, Josh Shady lives halfway in between where I live and this cabin. So a lot of times I stop in and say hello.
Wait, are you and Josh not near each other?
We're probably about an hour away from each other.
Oh, okay.
Now, for you Americans, that's not long, is it?
No, is that far for you?
Well, I mean, just in Europe, everything's a bit more compact, and so like an hour is like you're out of the city, and suddenly you're in the countryside, kind of thing. More.
Well, I do it in a car. If I was walking for an hour, it'd be long.
Right. Okay. All right. So you went to catch up with Shady over the weekend, then?
I didn't see him. He's a busy guy. He's got some kids graduating this weekend.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, I will see him this weekend, this Saturday though.
You guys jamming?
Yeah, you're gonna be jamming.
I'm going to the graduation party, and then we'll definitely be listening to some tunes. I'm sure we'll probably be a little bit full. So, you know.
Do you guys have like when you come together? Do you have like I don't want to say ritual, but like, do you have like a thing that kind of gets you in a kind of in the creative space, so to speak? Do you have a thing, or is it just you get together and it's like, bang, let's just make this happen?
It's more listening than it is anything else, because we bounce our tracks back and forth, kind of like what you do with your collaboration stuff. So I'll bring my laptop with, and I'll show him what I'm working on, and then he'll pull up his stuff on his computer and show me what he's working on. And it's a lot more listening and having a few beers while we do it, and then coming up with ideas about where we want to go. It's a lot more conversation than it is actually writing music. Okay. Although our intent is to start doing mixes together.
Nice.
In the future. So haven't really mapped out how we're going to do that. If I handle my tracks and he handles his tracks, and it kind of goes to the idea that, you know, we would like to do maybe some live type of ideas at some point. So cool. However we do that, I don't know. But
that'd be interesting to see. You have to keep us in the loop about that. I'd really like to see how that goes down.
Yeah, I think the next album we do is going to be, the execution is going to be quite a bit different than everything we've done in the past. We've got the ideas kind of there. We just got to figure out how to execute it.
Okay, well, I'd be keen to see. If you fancy sticking a camera in the corner and live streaming it, I'd love to see.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
The fact that you guys come together and do your thing is magical to me. So I'd be like, it's really interesting to see how that could work and kind of come to fruition. The music you make.
I think I'll have to just video it just so I can see it myself. Maybe pick up on some tricks, saying, all right, I shouldn't have done that there, should have done this here, whatever type of stuff.
Yeah, recording your process is really helpful. Like when I do it for when I'm posting social media stuff, like you really see a lot of like how you're doing things and what you can improve on. It's a good idea. And it gives you stuff you can post, because I'd love to see your guys' process. So selfishly, I would tell you do it.
hopefully we can get you something, by the end of the year or something like that. But
yeah,
that's
real quick. David's in the chat. How you doing, David? Good to see you.
Nice. Hello. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy the show. So shall we? We are 45 minutes past the hour. 45 minutes past 8. Don't have to say 7 today because Elon Lake's not here. But 1.
Oh, these time shifts, man.
Time dilation is always the way.
It's a running theme for today, I guess.
Yeah.
Eon Lake stuck in the past while viewing,
It's just Hydra Fighter living in the future.
Yeah.
And it's just us screaming in the present. Hydra Fighter, I have sent you the round robin details to your Twitter, if you can access your Twitter here. We're doing things slightly differently today. This is, we're talking about mastering. I'm talking about demystifying mastering in the round robin process today. Obviously, Sunwarper does a lot of mastering in his, not free time, but just like
I've been busy with that lately because I'm running $10 a track right now.
$10
for a sale, and yeah, it's been booming.
There you go. Well, there you go. So, how long is that sale on for, by the way?
A couple more days.
Cool. All right, a couple more days. All right, nice and clean and clear cut. We know exactly what we're doing there.
No, it's probably till the end of the like June 7th or something. It was till June 1st, but I've been getting such good feedback, so I extended it a bit. But if anybody wants to reserve or something, feel free.
Yeah, like that. The reason I'm bringing this to the table this week is because, you know me, personally, I find mastering terrifying.
Jeez.
No, I'm being facetious, but it is something that since we started doing Audionautic, I've just kind of thrown to you and said, you deal with it. I'm going to go and make more stuff. And it is mystifying for a lot of people, both who don't do the mastering and for new producers. So I thought it'd be something that we should chat about.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird information out there that sometimes is correct, sometimes isn't. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Exactly, and I wanted to kind of bring that to the front so that we could see. I found some questions on a random forum online, because that's always nice. And I thought we'd go through them because we have a mastering engineer in the house, and Hydrofighter is incredibly good at what he does. Do you do much mastering, Hydrofighter? Is it shady?
Master our stuff. I master the Hydrofighter stuff and the Thieves stuff, the KSD stuff.
Cool. Okay, so.
But I don't think I wouldn't consider myself a professional master by any means. I mean, I do it basically to avoid any costs.
Right. Okay.
Because I mean, we know it gets expensive, especially if you're doing a full album, and that's where I kind of want control over the master. Is if we're doing a 10-song album, something like that. I mean, it's really making everything fluid, and all the songs kind of sound like they're in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal of any master, right? You want to get it to sound right. Real quick, Daniel is in the chat. What's good, man? How you doing?
Nice. Hello. Welcome. Hope you enjoy the show. So before we get into some questions, Hydrofighter, when you are mastering something for Hydrofighter or for mastering something for Hydrofighter, when you're mastering something for Hydrofighter or when you're mastering for KST, kind of, do you have like what's your goal? What's kind of like you're going for? What kind of you looking to achieve with that? Is it just the fluidity? Do you look at loudness? Do you look at compression, saturation? What do you do?
Yeah, all of it. I mean, definitely volume sometimes, consistency more than anything, especially if you're bouncing between ambient tracks and drum tracks. There's a different style of song there, and to make it fluid from one track to the next one to the next one, you got to tweak with some things to make it consistent.
Mm-hmm. So, does that have a place in, for example, your track listing, or is the track listing completely separate from that?
I don't know, really. What do you mean by that, I guess?
Well, I mean, again, speaking as someone who doesn't do much of this, the idea of, as you say, if you're trying to match up ambient tracks and tracks which, I mean, let's face it, your heavy drum tracks, for example, that might be quite different. Does that play a factor into how you flow the album, or not at all?
No, usually the flow of the album is the style of the song more, and then working the master around that.
That makes sense. Absolutely.
And the great thing about mastering your own stuff is you can always go back to the mix and tweak.
Yep.
This is fair. I send my tracks to Sunwarper, and he's like, this is what I've got. You just need to change this, and
That's the nice thing about sending it to someone. You get an objective set of ears,
Yeah.
and like you're not that mastering engineer is not used to listening to it 1,000 times and balancing the levels and stuff. So they're listening to it and going, oh, this kick is pretty loud, or the bass could be up. And then, I think it's the goal of any master to get everything to be cohesive. That's the point. So if it's an ambient track, you may want it to be a little quieter because you want to give the ears a rest in the narrative, but you still want the general compression, the EQ, everything should be balanced and have a sort of, because the whole album is a story, so the master should help tell that story. And like David says in the chat, I've been shocked how much mastering can change a mix. Helps bad ones and hurts bad mixes. It's true. I mean, I that's why I love mastering. I love to see how it can affect a song, and like just doing some EQ cuts can drastically change the sound of it. You take out a lot of the hiss or mud, and it's like this clean, clear, warm sound. And back to Daniel, he says he's doing all right, but dying of pollen. I know, man, my allergies have been nuts. Benadryl helps that a little bit, though. But yeah, back to mastering.
You can do the opposite, though. I mean, if you want to roll up the high end, you can get that noise in there.
Exactly. But, I mean, there's like, that's the beauty of it. You can do a ton of stuff. But even like lowering the mids and bringing up the highs changes the sound a lot and can give a really cool sound, too, depending on what's in the mix, like what frequencies are there as as you're listening.
Well, this is it. And I mean, okay, so from the process point of view, these days, obviously, handing over to a mastering engineer who actually enjoys and knows and does has the right kit and knows what they're doing and enjoys doing it, it's always a good way to do, especially if they're only $10 for a master, for example. But
nice pitch.
Business. But at the same time, it is a process that we need to learn. Like, I can master, but since we started collabing together with Sunwarper, I hand it over to you because I do your artwork. It's kind of it's tit for tat, isn't it, really? The idea, I suppose, is if we always recommend handing over to a mastering engineer, but if you are doing it yourself, Sunwarper, how can we ensure that we have a cohesive and the best master possible?
Well, I think we should go over the questions.
That is one of the questions, bro.
Oh, is it? What's the first question?
It is question number 4.
Let's just start in order, because I just went ahead and I didn't put the questions, but I wrote an answer to each one.
Well, okay, cool, all right. Well, we kind of already started the first one. What is the mastering? What is the master? And what is the role of the mastering engineer?
Yeah, but I would let me just give my little answer, because I spent time.
Okay.
David really quick says, I definitely do not want to master my mixes. Yeah, it's really nice to get that objective set of ears. Is that why you don't want to master it, or are you just done by the time you're finished mixing it, David? I'd be curious. Anyways, so for that first answer, I consider it the final step in finishing a song or an album. It's the process of fine-tuning, bringing polish, and getting things to a competitive volume in terms of if you're looking to do streaming, you want to get it either above those numbers or below. There's some weird stuff with those numbers they set, so I don't usually ascribe to like setting it at that. I usually go a little louder. And then if you're doing Bandcamp or CDs, or especially if you're doing vinyl, there's a certain level for that. But yeah.
Okay. Okay, so on that front then, is it always necessary to do a master?
To have someone else do a master, or to do a master?
To do a master straight up.
I would say yes. I'm biased, obviously, because I love the way something sounds after being mastered, but it just brings a sense of cohesion. It brings everything together. It makes it sound better. I mean, when things are louder, to me, they sound better, perceptibly, audibly. They're just, it like hits you better. I'm not saying brick wall the crap out of it. No, I just mean like, if you have something that's -6 versus something that has some compression and limiting and things like that, and it's hitting a bit louder than that, or even at that level, but because of the limiting, everything is, perceptibly louder, then I like that better. And I think most people do. Yeah.
I mean, we're part of the loudness wars. I mean, we have been part of that since the 80s, and that is kind of still running through.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that stuff with Spotify and those others offering that you can set to go to make everything the same volume, that kind of defeats the purpose, but it's a setting. You don't have to have it on. Like, I don't have it on. I like to have things to have different levels,
I think
And real quick, David says he trades it to the master engineer because of objective ears, and he also says yes for mastering every track. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Total agree, bro.
What were you gonna say, Hydrophile?
I like the idea of mastering too, but if somebody was just releasing a single, and maybe you might not need it, but depends. I mean, you always, I mean, a mastering just brings out that color, like what we were talking about before, that the mixer might not get. And if you look at any videos of the pros, the real pros doing their mastering, they're just EQing just a little bit. They're just knocking off just a little bit. They're not doing any deep notch.
But it also depends on who mixed it and whether that mixing engineer did the notching and the things like that.
Yep.
But yeah, I would disagree about the single. I think a single is even more important sometimes, because if you're trying to really get your name out there or get it out there, you want it to be the best it can be, the loudest you want it to be. You know, maybe you don't want it brick-walled, obviously. I don't like brick-wall. But you want those dynamics. You want things to be polished because you're trying to get your name out there with the single.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it just depends on how clean your mix is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I'm not sure. I like the. Yeah, it depends on where they come from. If you look at my first album, Feeler Math, that's not mastered, and I can't master it because it's too muddy. But it is also a great album. So I mean,
well, send it to me. I can try and work something out.
I kind of like it. It's kind of stuck in time. We'll see.
You want the mud?
For it.
Bring forth the mud.
Yeah, charge me for it. We got time for it. With 4 minutes to the hour, so I've got a couple more.
We could probably get through them.
Yeah, so we've got okay. So
David says pay that 10. I agree.
Okay. I mean, I'll just do his lyric videos.
Yeah, he'll just do the lyric videos for me or the artwork. It's fine.
So what are some, if you're trying to improve and create the best mix, the best master that you can? Sorry, what tips would you guys give to bring and make the best master possible?
Is that question 3? Sorry, I just.
Question 3 is what kind of improvements can be expected from.
Oh
mastering.
yeah, we kind of covered that. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Sorry, I don't have the questions in my little write-up, so I don't want to be saying something and it just not make any sense in the context of the question.
I got you. So yeah, go on. So
Which number is this?
Number 4.
Okay.
Number 4. So what tips would you suggest to create a best possible master?
Well, I think the easiest ones are you don't want it to be super loud. You want something at -6 or -12, because when you're mastering.
So to be clear, before master.
Well, yeah, I'm saying when you're sending. So let's say this is the person making the music, and you're about to send it to a mastering engineer. You want it to be -6, -12, like the stereo. Well, first of all, you want to make a stereo mixdown, like a 2-track. You don't want to send a bunch of stems. You could, but they're not the mixing engineer. They're a mastering engineer. Up on that stereo, you do not want any sort of processing, no compression, no limiting, because that's all something you want to do in the chain, like the mastering engineer wants to do in the chain, and there's probably a specific chain they use where the compression would probably be after EQ, limiting would be after that, things like that. So you want nothing on that, and then, like I said, -6 or -12, LUFS, RMS, whatever you want to call it, but you don't want it super loud, and you do not want it to be peaking in any way. So the highest peaks of the track should be nice and quiet.
And it depends on what you're mastering for versus, I mean, digital versus vinyl is going to be different too.
Yeah, vinyl is a whole other beast. That you don't really want to do limiting, and you don't want bass to be stereo because it can make the needle bounce. There's a whole other thing. We're talking digital /CD / even cassette. David says some air for sure, and balance, a little stereo enhancement. Yeah, stereo enhancement is good. I prefer someone to do it in the mix, because when you start doing it with stereo widening plugins, you can get phase issues. I do it, like there's a master I'm doing right now for someone that was mono and they wanted it to be wider, and it works. I did like a couple different types of widening, like I did subtle stereo widening plugin, and then I did a chorus, very subtle, so the chorus does a little bit of widening in a different way, so you're getting a few different kinds, but it's not causing any phase things. Yeah.
What did I say? All right.
Sometimes you can lose stuff out of the middle when you're doing that. So.
Exactly. Sometimes it can sound really weird, and hard plug-in stereo widening gives me a headache. I can't stand it. Like, I don't like, it's moving frequencies rather than panning a guitar or panning a synth. I'd rather, like I said, have the artist or the mixer pan those things and do it that way than, if you want a little extra widening or you just want to do it with the plugins, it can work. Like I said, it worked in this one I'm doing, but But yeah, typically I would say pan and do that type of stuff in the mix phase, or even the writing, however you do it.
It's interesting because a lot of mastering engineers online, they'll talk about stereo imaging.
Yeah, it's a thing. I know. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I do it sometimes, but I'd much rather just pan. You know,
I tweaked around with some of that stuff too a year or two back, and I just ended up throwing it all out the door. It's trying to get some ideas of how to make it bigger, and I just found it more complicated than what it's worth.
I mean, ultimately, we should be fixing these things in mixing. That's really pan.
Like Steve said, like Hydrofighter said, masters shouldn't be doing a lot. Subtle things, but it depends on what you're given. But real quick, Daniel's mastering process, he says, is turning up the gain on each track until everything clips at +3 dB. Brilliant, man. That's the way to do it. That's noise for sure.
Solid. That's what we need. I'm going to skip ahead to question 7 because we've already talked about how much things cost.
Oh, just really quick for number 5, the things that are helpful when you're sending it. I covered it a bit, but also it can help to add tempo and key. And also the big one that I like is giving reference tracks, because then you and the artist or the mixing engineer, whomever, have an idea of what the vision is. Like, if someone's doing a Boards of Canada type song and they send a certain Boards of Canada song, I'm like, okay, so they like that warmth, they want loud drums, they want the bass to kind of, things like that, just so you have an idea of what the vision is. And I mean, maybe that person wants it to be completely their own or something, but usually you have an idea of like a certain sound you're looking for, not necessarily the same style of music, but like, I like how loud these drums are, how present these vocals are. That's big. And then the tempo and key is just like for one of those stereo widening things, I automated the widening so that as the track went on, there's a certain part where I wanted it to crescendo more, and I just made a little more widening. And so having the tempo and key, you do it on time with the song rather than just kind of eyeballing it.
Yeah, and especially with your attacks and decays on your compression too, right?
Yeah, that too, definitely.
Nice. All right, well, there we go. So in that sense, gear or the plugins that you guys use for your mastering, or is it down to the individual talents that you have?
Steve, you want to go first?
I'm using a lot of the out-of-the-box stuff. I got some outside stuff, but not too much. I mean, really, if I was doing this stuff professionally, I'd probably go out and drop some money on an expensive compressor on hardware, right? I mean, you can get really good stuff out of digital stuff, but depending on what you're mastering, if I was doing more rock stuff or something like that, I'd definitely want to be using tube compressors. But for the type of stuff that I'm doing, and I mean, I don't need it to be top notch, and plus I like a little bit of that dirt on there. But I mean, it's really, do we want to talk about our chains?
No. We're just doing this, running through these questions. We're running out of time anyways. I would slightly disagree. I would say that it matters more the person rather than the gear. It's like if you know how to use a stock plugin really well and work it in any way possible, might be better than someone who's got all this outboard gear but has no idea how to use it to the best of their ability, So I think it matters more the person rather than the.
And that's
the
kind
gear.
of like what you guys were talking about before I jumped on with EQing. Weren't you talking about that, or like using hardware to EQ stuff?
We were talking about how I'm lazy and don't want to use the guitar pedals all the time because I don't want to do all the.
But I thought Curtis said he was going to use some hardware too.
Oh yeah,
I want to use analog. So I want to use analog stuff because I want to train my ears a bit better.
Well, but virtual analog, right? You mean like in plugins? Yeah.
I can't get hardware. I'd love to have a rack. I'd love to have a rack, but it's just not going to happen anytime soon.
David says, I think that's a good point. Know thy gear. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could. There's people who have made. I mean, like I always say this in these, but the guys from Disclosure made that really famous song. I think it's Latch, with all stock Logic plugins, effects, synths, everything. It's all stock. And I mean, that song has however many streams on Spotify played. They play live. They got huge from it and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, is it a product also of fierce marketing and all that from major labels? Sure, but the point is the song itself is made from stock things, and it's huge. So, yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting way to go. Know thy gear is always a case, isn't it? In the sense
That should be like
I
one of
love
the
that phrase.
commandments, the
Know thy gear.
Audionautic commandments.
Yeah. Make
Good
it
one,
sound
David.
good, dude, and know thy gear. Which kind of leads us into question 9 in the sense of, okay, so the style of a mastering engineer, which is not something that we talk about quite a lot. For example, I send you my tracks because I like what you do with the sound. I don't know how you do it, but I appreciate what you do.
I just sprinkle magic on it.
Yeah, well, it's fairy dust, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
I
so
have a
I mean,
pouch back there.
exactly. And so I mean, there are lots of mastering engineers. There are lots of recording studios who'll do it for you, and they all have a certain style. How much of this do you think is relevant?
You know, I was thinking about this one a lot because sometimes it may be nice, depending on where you're going with a track or what your vision is, it would be nice to have out-of-the-box thinking from someone who doesn't normally, like send an electronic track to someone who does rock because maybe they'll emphasize parts that don't normally happen. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to sound amazing, but any mastering engineer, whatever their style may be, should be able to master anything, but yeah, if they have an emphasis in something, but it might be interesting. Like I got these tape drones for one, and I do ambient, but I don't normally do, something pushed through cassette and it's like there's not much change throughout the song. There's a lot of vocal samples and things like that, and it just made me think outside of the way I normally do. And I mean, they loved the way it came out, so it can help to have an outside point of view.
That's one way of looking at it. I mean, Hydrofight, do you see when you master, is it just your stuff in KST? Do you ever do anything for anything else outside the box, as Sunwarper say?
I've done some of the other stuff on the Shady label, not all of it, but it's some of the first stuff Josh was releasing on the label. It was really weird. It was really this solo guitar player, and it was all right up the middle, and that's where I was playing with some of that stereo stuff. And I wanted to make it a little bit bigger, but you gotta be careful about doing that. And I mean, I couldn't get the guy. I think he was actually recording on a looper, on a mono looper or something.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Into a DAW or anything like that. So that one, it's nice to know how people are mixing their stuff, but I don't know. I don't think I have anything more than what Michael knows about it. I mean, he might have to do some mastering for me one of these days.
Anytime, man.
$10 a pop? There's no problem.
For now. You only got a week left, though. You can reserve it, but...
Go, sorry, Hydrofight, go ahead.
$10 a song.
$10 a pop. Yeah.
That's cheap, man.
For right now. Yeah. Only till the end of the week, so...
Getting quick. Or just strike a partnership up and also provide his art.
I'm stretched thin with partnerships. I got to deal with you enough, man. No more.
Anyway, a final note for the day. A technical. Okay, so is this one where you need a technical background, or is this one where you need a musical background?
So, I put both have merits, and I think that's true. And I mean, I think having a musical background helps because you can attack it from a musical perspective, and you know where you want things to be dynamic, where you want things to expand, and things like that. But you also have an idea of all the instruments coming together and things like that. From a technical aspect, it makes a lot of sense because you're looking more at the end result and getting things, compressed at a certain point and this and that. So I think both have merits, or somewhere in between is probably the best way.
I mean, that works for me. Would you agree with that one, Hydrofighter?
Yep, absolutely. 100% on
Does anybody in the comments agree, disagree? Would love to know.
Yeah, I think the more of a musician you are, the better you're going to be at it, better you're going to be at it. I mean, that's just
also probably speaking to a fellow musician, you can probably speak the same language to a degree that maybe if you're just in the technical aspect, you wouldn't. But like I said, maybe that out of the box talk might lead to something better too. It varies. Both have their merits.
Oh yeah, David also in the chat agrees with that one as well. So
mine didn't update.
Without the tech, you can't do any of it.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So you need to have a bit of both, I suppose. Like with everything, nothing's binary.
You can't throw it just necessarily into a tape deck. And
I mean, you could. It's all subjective, right?
That's tech, though, too, right?
I mean, you could do like Daniel. You know, he says loudness war is solved with the whole just get it clipping at plus 3 dB. You know.
Yeah. I'm gonna shoot for 6 after.
I would limit it.
Loud is better, right?
I would just clip it, compress it to like just Kingdom Come, and then limit it so it's just bricked at plus 3. That's what I would do.
There you go. Get your masters done by Sunwarper. $10 a pop. There we go.
It'll just sound like fuzzy noise. Daniel says hard agree on the just brick wall everything. At least I think that's what it is.
That's what we need. We're glad that you guys agree, and people watching non-live or not live, feel free.
Or Eon
to
Lake when he catches up. I know you got a bad connection, bro.
He'll get there. Let us know. Again, this is a mystifying concept, and it's one that hopefully we've brought some kind of ideas to. Let us know, and let us know your thoughts and where you go with it. And yeah, that basically brings us to the close for today, as they say. Have either of you or any of us got any final thoughts, final words?
Well, I just wanted to talk, real quick. David says, on an aside, I give notes also on each song to the mastering engineer. Yeah, that's huge. That's like what I was saying with reference tracks, tempo, key, any sort of notes, like what you're feeling. What type of notes do you give, David, beyond that, or if it's different? And I just wanted to mention, as I said at the start of the episode, our podcasts are now on Spotify as video and on all other podcast platforms. So if you want to check it out over there and maybe give a rating, you know, it helps us a ton. Or leave a like on this. Anything helps. You know, maybe check out our Patreon if you're interested. But yeah. And then check out our playlist. We've been updating it. If you've got any music for the playlist, we just hit, I think, 211 followers. Just send it on. You can send it to me, DM Audionautic, DM Curtis. It's all good.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Any final words, Hydrofire?
No, but we're missing the marketing minute this week. Huh?
I know. We went hard on the mastering. That's the mastering minute. And it was like 40 minutes. So
it's a good conversation. No, I don't really have anything else outside of that. It's always fun seeing you guys. I miss Eon. I miss Eon, though.
I know.
Yeah, we all miss Eon. He'll be back next week. Next week.
Just real quick, David says, just ideas on dynamics, things to emphasize. Yeah, definitely. Because it's your vision, and the engineer should just be, you know, making that and emphasizing it. Big Cloudy says, thanks. This was fun and informative. Thanks for hopping on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we love you. Thanks for the conversation, guys. It's always nice to have people in the chat chatting to us and back and forth. It's lovely, you know.
Daniel says, thanks for the stream. Yeah, we appreciate all of you being on. It's a lot of fun when we got you guys on here because we can just, you know, go off of it. And if you guys have questions, we're more than happy to answer them.
Exactly. So we'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys nothing before then. So yeah, next stream will be next Wednesday. At what time, Sunwarper?
Oh god, 11 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. UTC, and I believe I'm gonna risk it. 8 p.m. whatever your time zone is.
Yes, very good. CET. Very good.
There we go. Look at that. I'm evolving.
Nice one,
and just so you know, guys, it's 1 p.m. CST.
That's true. Yeah. And then would that be what, 2 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah.
Yo, look at that. Well, I gotta stop while I'm ahead. I do not want to screw this up.
Nice one, gents. Absolutely fantastic. Much love to you both. Much love to everyone in chat. Much love to everyone watching this later on. Thank you ever so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you all next week. Bye.